honest, dude. He's not honest.
All right, that's it. I'm gonna have to cut you off here. It sounds like we have a draft, so let's hop into it here. We don't have to theory crap too much about this matchup. We know MVP to be the hottest team in town, coming out of the group stage with a 2-0 shutout all along the way, and even at the early part of the main stage, making it work. But it was, their matchup against Liquid, where we saw something a bit different from MVP. Remember the early Ogre Magi grab? Things were very awkward, and they look like this at the first round against Liquid, all happy-go-lucky, but things rained on their parade pretty damn fast. What are we expecting from MVP in their matchup against Fnatic now?
Run at you.
Run at you?
Kill you.
Can
laugh
Fnatic,
at you.
Can Fnatic prepare for the heat, for the blitz play?
Fnatic, you typically match up very well versus Phoenix.
Yeah, they do. Because they both understand each other very well. They know their play style, and they know what heroes that each player specifically likes to play. And they often play in the C regions, the C qualifiers. They always play against each other. So expect this to be a very interesting matchup and very exciting one. Like, both teams play really fast paced.
I would imagine these two teams scrimmed against each other quite a bit going into the event.
No, actually,
Who does Fnatic play?
MVP doesn't play much with C teams. They play mostly with Chinese teams because they get I think I mentioned they get a better ping from Korea to China than to C.
Do they regret that now?
Damn.
Nice try, Dakota.
It's no surprise that obviously, picks like Nature's Prophet are going to be highly contested in this matchup. We know Ohio to be, at least statistically, one of the best, second best, I believe, Nature's Prophets in the game. And MVP have found tremendous success with it so far. But with their first pick, MVP will pick up that Enchantress.
Do you see what they bet? That is so interesting because MVP are the teams that we know when the enemy picks Invoker and they will pick PL go mid, and then now MVP picks Invoker and they ban PL.
But have Fnatic even played that once this tournament?
No.
I don't think they have.
That's why I said it's interesting.
And they're
Like,
almost...
I know it's really good. Don't let him have it.
I mean, it's really good with a Chen or Enchantress because you just lands, you set up an easy gank for the Chen creep, so it's obviously really good. And
Earth Spirit mid in second phase?
Whoa.
that is actually very interesting.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, but it's a very matchup dependent here. I think some teams, even though Earth Spirit is very good, like some teams, like certain matchups between teams, they feel like they want to go for other heroes that are more important, especially a C versus C matchup.
Is this where Fnatic busts out Mushi's Ursa?
I think they might bust out his Spectre again, like they did against OG. If they see an opening for it where they get good lanes, they could probably do it. But the main difference between that game and this one is that I think OG's draft in that game was just weak.
Yeah.
Just flat out weak in lanes.
Do you think Ursa will be better since they're on Dire and it's better against Edge?
Absolutely. Yeah, for that, absolutely. It's just, because we saw it from Fnatic yesterday. Else I would have not even suggested the Spectre here. But, they dominated that game, so they probably feel really confident that that draft was really good and they could run it again. But I definitely like Ursa so far. I think it's good. It's the Tidehunter.
Team fight, Tide Chen, OD, 5-man. You have a very good combination. I don't think we have seen it once in the tournament where Astro sent back. I don't think, have you saw it?
No.
It's a very good combination. We used to see a lot back in the day, a lot of send Chen backs with the OD prison. It's really good at sending very tanky calls back to
Phoenix
base.
are drafting really fast.
It's typical Phoenix hero. They have support, Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
They have very good lanes with Ench and Invoker.
Witch Doctor has been their second most popular pick this patch. 13 games, a 10-3 record. And
It's a very straightforward Fnatic lineup as well. Like, so MVP is the team that goes for Spectre, but I think Tide matches up very well with Spectre. I don't know what you guys think, but
Yes.
I feel like when I'm Tide against an enemy Spectre, I can do a lot in the laning phase.
It's just a carry that fits MVP's playstyle very well. It gets involved early, and it wants to kill. But from a laning perspective, absolutely. Great matchup for Tidehunter there. What was it? It's Tide Witch Doctor, Tide against Witch Doctor, Spectre so far, and Enchantress.
Chen Enchantress probably will help.
Do you think Ench will be offlane or support for MVP Phoenix
Support,
right now?
I think. They play mostly as their support. They rarely play offlane.
So 2-1-2?
But I wouldn't rule it out that it's not going to happen at all. It's still possible. But I think at this rate, if you look at their lineup, they'll probably pick a more team fight based focus offlane so you can use the Horn much better.
What would your approach be as the Enchantress this game? Do you think you should focus on contesting Chen, or should you just mind your own jungle and secure Spectre farm?
I think typically as an Enchantress, you want to contest the Chen because you have a better, you have more creeps you can have more creeps at the start, so that's usually what you want to do.
And
But
better, way better move speed.
Yeah.
you can beat him like flat out the man-to-man fight. So
It's inside the dire jungle though, and there is a Venge that can help.
I think the most important thing is still helping the lanes, like whoever helps the lane more. Even, despite saying that, oh, it's obviously better to if you can challenge the Chen. But at the end of the day, the result that you want is you help your lane. So even if you don't really contest the Chen, as long as you help your lanes, I think you should still be fine with that. So Fnatic are gonna look for their mid hero, sorry, their safe laner, I guess. But
Mushi.
I mean, Mushi still plays OD though, so.
Okay, but how is he going to be on a lifestealer here?
It's very aggressive though.
No typical vehicle for your lifestealer in this game to kind of get into the fight, but
I think the idea of this hero is very good versus Enchantress because of the rage, the magic immunity, and secondly, which I think is the most important factor of the hero, the pace of the hero is very fast, the tempo. You come online very fast and you just help your team, basically. I'm not sure if there will be any ancient shenanigans this game.
against an invoker, could be okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it will be like the the Radiance type build. I think it might just be like the race car build, like the SMY drum build, like the normal, just a standard carry build. But I'm not sure. So it's going to be their team fight off lane, the Void, pretty good versus the Lifestealer. Really good at locking down the Tide as well to ensure that if you catch him out, he can't actually pop his Ravage. So who do you guys actually favor?
I like Fnatic's draft. I think it's
I
really
like
strong.
Phoenix's draft.
You would.
And what about for you, Mr. Winner?
I just think like the Lifestealer pick is a much more fast-paced hero and it fits their lineup very well. So I'm going with Fnatic, not because I like them, but just because.
Sure. Sure.
Sure.
I thought you would go against them because they ignored you earlier.
All right, whatever, guys, whatever.
Since the match is set, it's going to be game number 1 of our second series today. MVP Phoenix versus Fnatic. We can get our opinion now from our casters over the arena. We'll send it their way now. It's Capitalist and Blitz.
Thank you, Dakota. That's right. We're finally here in the arena with our best of 3 between MVP Phoenix and Fnatic Blitz. We heard our analysts. What do you think about this matchup? Where are you siding here?
I sort of side with... I'm not sure. Probably Fnatic, but it's... Like, Lifestealer is such a weird hero for me. Sometimes I just look at Lifestealer and I'm just like, no, that's not the hero that I ever want to see in a competitive game. But... I don't know, maybe they can make it work.
All right, so we're going to be starting things off with a MVP Phoenix. Trying to set up on that top bounty rune. Fnatic are going to be spreading themselves a bit. The Enchantress versus the Chen, both sides have a jungler. MVP Phoenix do obviously have a bit harder carries than the Spectre, Faceless Void, and Invoker. Some pretty big late game cores against Fnatic's very much more mid game dominant lineup. How does MVP Phoenix actually kind of stem the tide of Fnatic's aggression in the mid game?
I think a lot of it just comes down to how much the Enchantress and the Void can accomplish in the mid game. They have some pretty nice combinations when it comes to team fights, like they have Witch Doctor plus Void, which I think is a pretty strong one. The Invoker has to have a fairly good game though, and he's up against an OD. Mid one seems very comfortable on this hero, and Fnatic are going to go for this bottom rune, but MVP, they're going to force them out as Tide Chen OD is not the best lane when it comes to contesting runes.
Yeah, certainly not. Bounty runes are going to be split between our mids. Ferev's had a pretty good time at top lane, right? He's dealing with Vengeful Spirit, Lifestealer. I can't imagine the slow is going to be enough to really be able to catch Ferev out. He should always be able to just time walk away after the stun.
Yeah, and this is an MVP lineup where I'm not used to them playing. Like, oftentimes throughout this tournament, we've been talking about this style where they just kind of run at people and excuse the, pun or whatever with my name, but they just blitz them. Like, they run at them at 15 minutes in the game and they take all semblance of map control, but this time around, things are going to be a little bit different. But Mushi at top is already trading hits with Rev. You've got to be careful about this. Like, even though you do have the first level of Feast, Frev has a poor man shield already, and Void's base damage is very good.
Yeah, Frev's really trying to take advantage of the fact that the Vengeful Spirit is not in lane net. He's already blocked out the Enchantress's off-lane camp, and is going to body block it once again. That being said, Febby did get chased away to the regular jungle, and he's going to be using, of course, the Satyr Tormentor, which we saw used yesterday to such great success in the mid lane against mid 1.
Yeah, and it's not just the harass, it's the 6 HP regen a second that it gives your mid laner, which makes it almost impossible for mid 1 to trade hits like this.
Yeah, last time we were watching it with Ohio's Nyx Assassin, who starts off with, what, like 3 base regen or something like that? And now, this time around, we're going to be pairing it up with an Invoker, a Quatswix Invoker at that.
He's got 10, it's actually 13 HP.
Oh, that's absurd.
Yeah, it's not even worth it mid 1. Don't bother.
Yeah. Never right-click that enemy hero. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the Chen is actually helping out Ohio, just like we saw from Fnatic in their last matchup. This is actually allowing him to be really aggressive against the Spectre. The Tidehunter versus the Spectre matchup is one that's super favorable for Ohio.
Yeah, mid 1 gets hit by it again. The good news, though, it is pushing the lane up, and it's making it difficult for MP to get control of the lane when it comes to denies and last hits. It's just been annoying more than anything.
Bushi's being so zoned out. The Vengeful Spirit really needs to come back to this top lane, but it just seems like it's a bit too late at a certain point, as Faceless Void does have his level 3.
Yeah, I like that stat. This is the 3rd time Lifestealer's been picked, and it hasn't won yet. Like, that's what I expect to kind of happen with this hero.
Lifestealer is just not something that wins games. What about the Ancient Camp? Are we going to be utilizing that as the Lifestealer at all? Winter was kind of talking about maybe it could just be the regular old race car Lifestealer that we used to see.
I think that you're always going to go to the Ancient Camp at some point, but I doubt it's something that you just stick into. Like, as a Lifestealer player, something that you really have to balance is learning when to get out of the creeps, but right now, mid 1, trading hits with MP, as he does have 2 levels of the Essence Aura.
Yeah, he successfully hit the EMP, and MP didn't, mid 1 didn't actually get any Essence Aura procs on those last couple of Arcane Orbs, so he's completely out of mana now. A great position for this Quatswix Invoker to be in.
Yeah. Man, this game is so hype. No matter what happens, the C team is getting into the top 4 of this tournament. It's almost like what Scan said yesterday on the bus. He's like, you get to represent your region as champion.
Yep.
You know, Complexity versus EG was EG coming out on top for NA. This one, who knows?
Things do seem to be off to a relatively even start. Essentially, both safe lanes are having a problem. Brem is going to be gone on. He still has the time walk, though, and will be able to get away. The damage from the magic missile isn't nearly enough to really threaten the Faceless Void.
I would like him to ferry some regen, though. He needs it pretty badly because the creep wave is coming in.
Oh, two-man smoke gank, but it's going to be popped right as Ohio gets away from that Ancient Camp. They're still going to try and go on him, and they do have the Maledict plus the Satyr Banisher. They might be able to actually just chase him down. They've got another Satyr Blast coming in. It's going to be some long time to be able to draw him down. The Banisher, it gets another perch down. He's got a Fairy Fire. The Maledict is now run out. They still have some slows if they really want to try and chase down Ohio. But the Satyr Blast doesn't hit, and they don't want to be diving a tier 2 tower.
Yeah. I almost feel like he kind of messed up on the Purge a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like if you just keep stacking it over and over again, it's very difficult to run away, even with the Kraken Shell.
And Febby also had Enchant ready to go. I know it's not that big of a movement speed slow, but perhaps they could have actually run down that Tidehunter, because we still have our first blood out there. It's a big boost to gold for somebody still to claim.
Yeah, and MVP are getting aggressive. They want to take down this bottom tier 1 tower. Also try to deny the Tidehunter some experience, but Ohio's doing great in this lane, and it's actually been his performance that's surprising the most. But in this mid lane, MP...
And they're going to be able to dive onto him, but the EMP is going to scare back the other 2. And the bottom lane tower does end up going down, but... Yeah, Ohio's performance was particularly impressive on the Nyx Assassin yesterday. I'm really glad to see Ohio back in shape. He was one of my favorite offlaners back in the days of TI3, and ever since those days, he hasn't really shined like he once did.
Yeah, I think in the group stage he had a lot of difficulties, but it seems as soon as it came to the main event and the lights, cameras are on him with the crowd, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna take it up to the next level. My team needs me to do this, and he's responded. 5 minutes into the game, though, still no first blood. Things are going relatively well for everybody in this game. Like, both offlaners are getting a good amount of farm.
Yeah.
Both safe laners are getting a pretty even amount of farm. Mid is the same story, and they both have junglers, so it's not even like one is getting ahead of the other. Too bad.
Now, we know Fnatic have a little bit more of the mid game, but does that actually mean that they need to win the laning phase more than MVP Phoenix?
I think so, just because anytime a Spectre is even in a game, he's going to be incredibly happy.
Okay,
Like,
so
if
we could say that MVP Phoenix are coming out slightly on top just because everything's even?
Yeah. I think at some point, though, Fnatic are going to start ramping up the aggression, especially when their Tidehunter hits level 6. And the first Ravage is what I'm going to look for the most. I'd sort of like him to maybe even go mid and try to make something happen.
It's going to be the second smoke gank here from MVP Phoenix. I think this is the right kind of response because I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to fight Fnatic once they sort of come online at 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So it's best to maybe try and use these smokes now to establish a little bit of control before Fnatic take it.
Yeah, they know that DJ's there in the jungle. Mid one might be a difficult kill, though. He does have the Astral and that wand, plus the Fairy Fire.
And we have a TP in available for Ohio who's got a Mango. This seems just...
No, I think this is way too optimistic.
Yeah, that would be disastrous. We do have Fnatic who are going to be going for a two-man smoke from DJ and Net. They're actually going to rotate into the mid lane.
Ohio's going to go behind too.
Yeah, he's going to cut across with his arcane boots. He popped the Mango, so he's actually full mana now. Net starts leading the way. Nice tornado in. He's actually going to be able to go off. The Spectre's going to be able to come in. First blood gets taken by MVP Phoenix. As Fnatic thought they had it, they're still going to be able to get the Ravage to blow up the Witch Doctor, but they're not going to be able to get much else. And we can't forget MVP Phoenix, they claim the first blood, so that is definitely favorable to them.
Yeah, and most importantly, the first Ravage of the game was popped, and nothing was too bad. Like, Fnatic are going to be a little bit disappointed with that. They expected that Ravage to do a lot more. That first Witch Doctor kill doesn't really net them too much out of that. If anything, control is now in MVP's favor, just because they do still have the Chrono available, and this is a team that isn't as reliant on these hero cooldown timings.
What is this? Spending so much time in the Centaur Conqueror. I mean, if they actually come in, get the magic missile stun on the Faceless Void, and then he pops out, gets that bit of burst damage, that might be able to kill him. Is they're going to be able to combo up the stun? There it is! bo3 had it planned all along.
That was the oddest thing I think I've ever seen.
Brev's just sitting there like, why is he still in the Centaur? I don't understand. But he needed the burst damage of the Infest to be able to get the kill.
I mean, that's next level. You like mind gamed him. He just, I gotta stay in the Centaur. You have no idea what I'm doing. If we were confused, imagine poor Forev. He's like, okay.
Ooh, Ohio. He's sitting here on an ancient stack trying to deal with it, but MP, he's just gonna position himself in the perfect spot. Hits the tornado, right clicks him down a couple of times. And that's a lot of Ancients, by the way, that are quite low. I don't think MVP Phoenix can ever contest it. So that's a bit problematic.
Can't really do anything about it, but it's still really good of them to at least contest the Tide and slow down his timings. You want to make sure that this guy has the worst game possible, and Frev, despite his death, still has a lot of farm. When it comes to net worth, he's 4th on the board, even ahead of the OD in this regard, and I think they're pretty satisfied with how things have gone overall. Like, their Spectre's getting a good amount of farm, relatively uncontested, the Invoker's in a similar position.
Here comes the push at top lane with the Ancient Granite Golem.
Okay,
this is not a fight that MVP Phoenix are going to be able to take. The Granite Golem, he just zones everybody out. It would have been better if it was a Black Dragon, but Granite Golem, it's acceptable.
No, Granite Golem's super legit, man. Like, the attack speed of it is actually okay.
Yeah.
The Black Dragons are super slow.
That's true. They just clear through the camp, the creep waves faster.
Yeah. But this tower's gonna go down. This is the one really...
I don't think you want to stick around here. Uh-oh. Spectre's gonna pop the ultimate. They also throw down the Chronosphere. Mid one is most definitely dead. I like the tornado use there to be able to catch that. They know they've got the kill on the OT, and they actually can get the supporting in hero as well.
Oh, they didn't deny the mid tower when they had the opportunity to. That's gonna go down as well.
Oh, they're gonna go to the Ancient stack.
Oh, they're gonna do this as a group. Fnatic aren't prepared for this. Ohio does not have a TP. They managed to get this. This is gonna actually hurt him so much.
Yep, even if they can't get every single one of these.
No, they're going to.
You think so?
No.
Fnatic? Yeah, there's just no response from them. Okay. No, they're gonna leave the biggest ones there.
Yeah, they got like 6 of them. I'm pretty sure they're really satisfied with how that entire engagement went.
Tidehunter's going to be real sad now. He's actually going to be going the drums routes. Blitz, I know that's your favorite build.
Well, they have a Chen who's going to go for the mech anyways.
Yep.
I think he just doesn't want to go straight for the blink. Like, he wants stats to back up. And in that regard, I agree. maybe you can even just go for the bracer into the Blink Dagger depending on your item timing, but is Blink Dagger's going to be so late cap?
Speaking of late, our OT is rather underfarmed as well. He's only got a Null Talisman and some other items building up, but he's pretty damn underfarmed, only sitting at 3k net worth, while our mid Invoker is almost at 5k.
Yeah, the good news is for Fnatic is that their support's still getting an okay amount. Like the Chen has Arcane Boots and he's got the Buckler. He's got his level 6. You can't say the same about MVP Phoenix's heroes, as Dubu is at the bottom of the net worth chart and he is stuck in such a weird position. I kind of don't want them to fight this. I'd rather them just pressure this top tower, but Fnatic are almost certainly going to try to defend that one.
Go for trade-offs as much as you can as MVP Phoenix.
Oh, Dubu's going to lay down the sentry. Be careful, young Dubu. This fight's not for you.
Fnatic keep going. Looks like they're going to continue for tier 2. I don't think they can actually TP back. Fared's got his Chronosphere ready to go, and MVP Phoenix are already surrounding that tier 1 tower, so...
This is really good though for MVP Phoenix. They're avoiding the Tidehunter Ravage while still claiming the same number of objectives.
Yep.
And for Fnatic, they're going to have to try to pump up the pace a little bit. They wanted to be the first ones to take down that mid tier 1 tower if they could. They've got the jungle army, but MVP are going to start pressuring this top lane, and this is one that Fnatic have to contest. They're not even getting Roshan or an objective out of this. You don't want to just give this one up.
Rev jumps back, Tornado, EMP is going to be able to land on the Tidehunter, blowing through all of his mana. He's got enough to wand, well, not anymore after that Anchor Smash. So no Ravage available. That being said, Fnatic do split themselves up pretty heavily. They're also trying to push in the mid lane. They are going to go for the Chronosphere, trying to pop Ohio. He's got the Ravage ready to go, and he could be able to get it off at the last second. Imprisonment save, there it is. The Spectre's not going to be able to claim that kill right away. Ohio will live, and they didn't have to blow the Ravage. DJ, he's going to be caught up by Farev, but he does have his whole entire army here. The Tornado's going to be able to come in, just barely clips him. Farev stays ahead of DJ as well. They body block him up and will be able to get a kill out of this.
Yeah, there's a hasted Spectre running up top, but Fnatic don't want to fight this, and once again, MVP get the better of the trades. They did have to expend the Chrono, but Ohio...
But that's well worth it, right? If you can actually force Fnatic on the defensive and not let them set the pace of this game, you're winning as MVP Phoenix.
Yeah. And I think MVP out of all the teams here have shown like how to play against the Tidehunter. Just constantly keep him off balance, force him to use the Ravage defensively, and not for these critical tower pushes. As Fnatic, they're still going to rely pretty heavily on Mushi to just get a lot of farm. He's got 1,500 gold, and they're at a decent pace. But they definitely want to try to use the Ravage.
Comes in, they've got more than enough to pop Ohio.
And again, they're just fighting around the Tidehunter. MVP are doing this really good so far.
So the 4-man top comes as a bit of a surprise here for Fnatic. I love all this aggressive vision from MVP. Look at that, they've got one in the secret shop. They've got one in, I don't think I've ever seen this ward before. Yeah. In between the top and mid lane.
The reason why we talk about MVP so much is not because we're biased or anything, by the way, guys. It just stems from the fact that they're executing their lineup the way that they want to, and Fnatic is not. Like, Fnatic want to get their Tidehunter involved. They want to use the Ravage to set up kills, take down objectives, and then push down with the Chen, but they've been outmaneuvered. So what they're waiting for now, the next step is, okay, our initial plan didn't work, let's wait for the item timings. You wait for the Chen to get the mech. The Tidehunter is not going to get an item in time, but instead they're saying, let's not give up this top tower, let's use the Ravage.
What are we going on, Mushi? Is this a Desolator build?
Could be.
I mean, it's either that or Maelstrom, I think so.
Oh,
Dubu.
They're gonna run into Dubu.
And they really want this quick pick off, and the Spectre's actually going to come and disrupt things. He immediately goes for DJ, and 3-net Chronosphere! Beautifully set up for Fared to be able to pop the EMP over the top from NP. Ohio just cannot seem to get out the Ravage. Finally does the last half second. The Maledict is taking him down, Imprisonment's going to come in, but May once dishing out the damage till Dubu. He's sitting on the side, he's already fought mid one down to half HP. MP can't challenge him though. It's too much against Mushi as well on the right hand side. Bevy's already taken out the Tidehunter, and they're going to be able to sandwich in Fnatic. Fnatic if they can only control Mushi well enough. MP, he's got the invis as well. They're going to be able to start throwing out those impetitive shots. Mushi, making a dive into the creep, will be able to get inside it. MVP Phoenix, they can still fight this though. They're going to chance up the Dark Troll. Mushi, you got to get out of there. You're going to be dragged by the base. Gets full HP, rages up and TP's out. Mushi will be fine, but Fnatic, a big hit there as they lose another team fight.
Yeah, and that's going to be so much more farm for MP. And you expect Fnatic to win the engagements where they're able to get both the Ravage off and the Sanity's Eclipse. Like, they were barely able to get that Ravage off.
Yeah.
The cask almost just ruined everything, but MVP able to hold the line just far enough ahead that it doesn't hurt them too much, and this OD continues to get behind. Like,
and again,
he's a full Midas.
It's the nature of those defensive ravages, right? Where they're pressuring the Tidehunter. He's forced to use it, but MVP Phoenix see it coming, and very few of them actually get hit, despite it being kind of in the middle of the team fight.
Yeah. That was such a sick play from Mushi, though, being able to get out of there. It is going to be the Deso, and he's going to have to do something about the Enchantress. Like, he's the hero right now to deal. Just get on top of the enchant using the rage. You have to be the frontliner for your team because it can't be mid one. Mid one is doing an excellent job of keeping everybody alive with these astrals. But he has to be the frontliner for his team.
Yeah, he can't save himself, essentially. Not very easily. Lifestealer's going to pick up the Ancient Granite Golem. Fnatic, even though they don't have the Ravage, it seems like they want to try and force this.
I really feel like they should wait for the mech. They're just 300 gold away. It could have made a huge difference in that last fight. There's no reason not to wait for it. Your Chen is already really underleveled. If you lose the fight again, it's going to be so hard for him to come back.
MVP Phoenix, they know the Ravage is still down for another 20 seconds. They're actually going to be running into the Ancient Granite Golem, so unfortunately that smoke is going to be too successful. Maybe they can kill the Granite Golem, but that's really all they could do. Can't even do that much.
This is the best part about Lifestealer. It's like, what are you gonna? You gotta cut through this 2,000 HP creep that has magic immunity and then try to kill him.
Yeah.
But they're gonna run into the ancient stack again, clear it out. It was just like a double one though. And Mushi's spending a lot of time in this creep. As Fnatic, they're allowing DJ to get the mech.
Yeah, they're doing this ancient camp strategy, yet they still haven't taken all the tier 1 towers. This goes to show how far behind Fnatic strat really is. And they're just their timings.
Yeah, they got the mech though, and if they could get this gank off on QO, QO might not know this is happening.
He can lead if he wants to. QO does have the ultimate to be able to jump out of this potentially. Pops it now, actually heads into the mid lane. Mushi's going to be able to slow him down though. He jumps right back up the top lane now, trying to use the dagger to get back into the trees. The Ravage catches QO, but he's inside the trees. No, he pops back out. Unfortunately, that dagger effect doesn't last for long. Still though, he gets away. Fnatic do not have the damage to be able to catch him as the OD already walked back. And MVP Phoenix in the meanwhile will take Roshan.
They were so fast about that 2-cap. And they're just abusing them around the map right now. QO with that sick escape. Mid one wasn't even really sure where to go. If he was with the rest of his team, that would have been a free Spectre for them, but instead he manages to get away, buys his team enough time to get the Roshan, and that's another Tide Ravage expended for a lost fight.
The mech is finally here for DJ. That's got to be one of the slowest mechs that DJ's has ever gotten in his history of playing competitive Dota. 19-minute mech. He's just not had a great time, nor has anybody from his team. Ohio is getting close to the Blink Dagger though, and maybe that'll change things around for Fnatic, that element of surprise.
Yeah. The good news for Fnatic is that we still haven't seen what their ideal fight looks like. Like a 5-man Ravage catching the Invoker, maybe the OD gets on top of you, but at some point it might not just matter because MVP are going to build up this lead. It's already up to 5k when it comes to net worth. XP is following in a similar trend. Q almost has the Relic available on him as well, and once that happens, Fnatic are going to be hard pressed to take these fights. The evasion is naturally really tough for heroes like OD to deal with to begin with. And now we've got the Blink Vlads completed on Forev.
What do we think about the later Orchid builds on MP's Invoker? He went Phase Boots Drums, Hand of Midas, like that's kind of normal, but he actually goes back for the Orchid. Is it just that effective against Fnatic that you're willing to get it?
I think it's good against the Lifestealer. If you can silence him and blow him up, even better than like slow-paced stuns.
Right.
He's almost always going to be able to dodge otherwise, and it would get the map control. I do like going for the drums and then going back for the Midas, realizing, okay, I still want to be able to keep up in levels and farm. That's primarily what this Invoker needs. Drums just makes it so hard for him to catch in fights.
Indeed, DJ's second slowest mech ever. They've got an ancient black dragon now.
I thought you were exaggerating, like one of the slowest in his professional career. Like that seems a little bit harsh.
Second slowest.
Yeah, you're right.
No, I mean that's just because DJ is such a good Chen, though.
Yeah, he is.
Other Chen players, you'd be like, oh, okay, you know that might be all right for him. But DJ, this is one of his best heroes. He's not going to accept this.
Yeah, they are getting control in the enemy jungle. I like this, but MVP looks like they want to clash.
Blink away. Ohio already forced something defensive. Rev's just going to be able to jump in with his blink dagger. Throws out the time dilation. He's just thinking whether or not he's going to be able to actually force this fight.
I mean, Fnatic, do they really want to fight against the
Aegis? Can blink Ravage. Oh, the tornado hit just in time, and MP is going to be able to jump away. The Spectre pops the ultimate. Spectre in the back line starts going in for death, but there's a 3-man Chronosphere. Murat finds his opening, taking the Vengeful Spirit on the edge line. QO to be able to get him. The Ravage goes down now, but Farev actually gets blown up already, and QO has no more mana. The lifesteal on the other side is actually pushing back MVP Phoenix. Somehow Fnatic managed to recover from that initiation. MP runs into mid one. He's already down to half HP. He's got to be careful as that heal's not going to come in fast. MP, he's too close. There goes the Aegis. He's going to be surrounded by Fnatic. Really be able to get out in life number 2. He's going to be slowed down. He's just getting blown up instantly with the Desolator as well as the pure damage from the OD. Fortunately, the Invis is going to allow him to escape as that casket proves to be an annoying force against Fnatic.
They finally get the Ravage that they're looking for, despite MVP having a lot of the advantages like the Aegis and that 4-man Chrono. They just didn't have the damage to back it up. Mushi with the perfect positioning manages to shove the Witch Doctor away while he was channeling his ultimate. Really well done by Fnatic, spacing that fight.
Yeah, despite the clutch initiation, and that's one of the big downsides of the Quaswex Invoker, you could say. There's just not the same kind of damage output with this combination of Chronosphere as you would see from the Exort.
They also didn't have the Orchid available, or they probably could have won that fight.
Yeah.
And Fnatic, even though it looks like just a 1-for-1 trade, it's what it could have been.
Did he not have the Orchid yet, or did he use it on someone else?
He didn't have it.
Okay.
It was just a little bit short.
Yeah, because that definitely would help them pop mid one, like, really quickly.
He was about to get the Radiance. Like, these two items would have helped MVP win, but Fnatic take that fight perfectly. Still, all the items are still flying in for the MVP, and at best, that was still a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah. Fnatic do have a very big item of their own. The BKB is about to be finished up by mid one. There's still a little bit of scariness, though, for MVP Phoenix with the Chronosphere, disable against an OD, but the BKB will definitely be, if you discount the Chronosphere, one of the larger impact items Fnatic can get. Oh, another 3-man Chronosphere set up by Farev. Big one's going to be controlled up. They got the EMP. That is almost going to go down. They're actually surviving decently, but mid one can't battle out with QO. The carry actually dies. Or Tornado comes forward, doesn't hit on anybody. The send back onto net is going to be able to successfully save him. And DJ gets the TP out as well. Somehow, Fnatic mitigate their losses once again against a great initiation from Farev.
Yeah, Farev had a really bad game against Liquid, but in this one, I mean, he's just showed up to play. Multiple, like, 3-4-man Chronos. Unfortunately, his team doesn't quite have the damage to back it up at this phase of the game, but
they will soon.
Yeah,
I mean, the Radiance complete definitely adds to that. We saw the way that mid one, he just got taken out so quickly by the Spectre. He was separated from his allies, and with that extra Desolate damage, plus the Radiance burn, he went down super quickly. I like this. MVP Phoenix actually leaving one of the small ancient rock golems in the ancient camp. So like, this means Mushi. Yeah, Mushi doesn't have an infest creep now.
Is this the one you want?
Yeah. Oh, it's 800 HP. Sorry.
No, he's just gonna clear it and wait in a bit.
He gets it before the 25-minute marker, so it's all good.
I know Farev was really disappointed about how he played against Liquid, and it showed. Like, as soon as they got out of the booth, he looked by far the most frustrated. So, no, he wanted to redeem himself, and so far he's done it. But Fnatic, they're on the offensive. They still almost have the BKB on mid one, and we have seen what their potential fights can look like if they can get a clean Ravage off.
And they do have the positioning to be able to set this one up. Ohio is smoked up. with Lifestealer inside of him. He actually knows that MVP Phoenix are going to be sitting on the side. He gets the 3-man Ravage, sets up, they immediately go on MP. They're going to be able to pop him immediately. Fenny's not going to last long either, as Mushi's raid allows him to ignore that untouchable untoucher all he wants. The swap back in, Rev, he's going to be caught out as well. That's going to be 3 down. Fnatic find the fight, take the tier 1, and will push forward for a tier 2.
And that's exactly what we were looking for. Even though Fnatic are down in golden, maybe this isn't where their lineup wanted to be. Look at them go. All they needed was that clean Ravage. And they got the most important hero, the Invoker. This is a hero that can't defend himself, especially when you bring Detection along. You see the commitment as Net has one, even Mushi's bot does. And this is going to be a pretty big push for them as they knock down both mid towers. They're going to go for the high ground here. Nobody from MVP wants to commit the buyback.
And the Desolator allows them to rip through this tower so quickly with the help of the Chen Breed, plus the Vengeful Spirit Aura. Oh no, this could be a full laner Rax here. Spectre's going to pop the ultimate. Paralyzing tap, bounces out, Spectre bounces back and forth, the Witch Doctor throws out the ultimate, and they actually jump inside one of the Centaurs. So the Lifestealer putting himself on the front lines. It's been enchanted. They could just run him back to the fountain. Mushi, again, you've got to pop out. Rev, he's got the Chronosphere to be able to stop Mushi. There's no opportunity for him to do anything. Free kill on the carry of Fnatic. Mushi's got to be careful with that at best.
Yeah, Febby's just like, okay, this time you're not getting out. We've got our Void here. You can't rage TP. You're 100% dead.
It almost seemed like for a second he was like, is he really still in there? He was like keeping the Centaur mid. He was like, I think, yeah, he's still in there, right? I'll send it back to fountain.
But Fnatic, man, they struck back hard. This was a game that, I'm not gonna lie, it was looking a little bit bleak, but all they needed was that one Ravage, and you see the Enchantress and Witch Doctor get absolutely destroyed by that Lifestealer, who when he's in rage does not care about that enchant.
If they just played that mid fight a little bit better, they could have actually traded that Lifestealer for the mid lane melee Rax.
Yeah, still
which would have been a huge victory considering how far behind in timings Fnatic were 10 minutes ago.
The Chen had absolutely nothing. He didn't have levels. Net was in a similar position, but now they're starting to pick up some items. The Tidehunter now has the plate mail and 1,600 gold on top of him. You've got the BKB and 1,500 on mid one. They're starting to rack up the funds. And MVP, they've got to be kicking themselves. Like, this is not a position that they anticipated being in. They wanted a slow-paced game after the early engagement, and they wanted to be able to abuse the haunt, but
Febby's damage build is going to be delayed as he's forced to go into a Ghost Scepter against Mushi's Lifestealer. The Rage just is too much of a counter for the poor Enchantress. Looks like a BKB up next for Rev, unless he's just starting off with the Ogre Club and going into the Ags. Normally you would see Point Booster though.
I think Ags could be a good choice, but Fnatic, they're gonna smoke up for this one. Even getting the Enchantress here would be pretty good, as Febby does deal quite a lot of damage, and he's gonna get gone on. He's gonna pop the Rage.
The Ghost Scepter go down, but that's only gonna delay things. There's not enough members of MVP Phoenix to actually be here, so Febby's just gonna try and buy as much time as possible. MP is quick to start pushing out that bottom lane though. He knows that Fnatic, they got that pick off with 40 seconds on the clock. That's more than enough time for them to force a fight inside the MVP Phoenix's base.
Yeah, and Fnatic, it looks like they're gonna commit for this, but they've got to be careful as MP is already gonna take down this tower. But he is also their defensive hero, so he's gonna choose to TP instead. Fnatic are gonna make the smart decision to not back up.
They're trying to harass with the Manta. 15 seconds till the Enchantress is ready to go. But those Manta illusions don't last long against an OD.
Still, they've got a ward down in the base. They can see what MVP decided to do after. MVP are immediately going to smoke up. They want to go for this Roche fight, but Fnatic have everything available. Mid one could get the BKB off.
Oh, Perez smoke is popped. He knows on the left-hand side. He sees the opportunity. No Chronosphere just yet. Launch him in, but QO. Oh no, he's stuck inside of that one. The imprisonment goes down. They're going to be able to save some of these heroes. They've only taken that so far. Mid one's down to half HP, but the BKB still going. Ohio holds. He's waiting for his opportunity to be able to jump in. He's got the Lifestealer inside of him as well, but he's stuck inside the trees. He's not in position to do anything. He can't help mid one. Ohio's just stuck. The paralyzing cast is destroying him, and QO's going to be able to catch up now. Mushi pops out. Finally, the Raps goes down, but they've only going to be able to get the support. It looks like as Ohio dies, and Mushi is left alone against all of MVP Phoenix, soon to die as well. A wipe to the favor of MVP Phoenix. A rough start there for Rev, but it really came out when they had Tidehunter completely controlled with Mushi inside of him.
Yeah, and the Tide was just looking for the opportunity. He might have had it for a split second, but just doesn't react in time, and they have to have the Ravage as the opener. But MVP, Rev catching once again the two backline heroes that they want to start the fight with. And even though QO was stuck inside that Chrono, a good fight for MVP. This is going to be the Aegis for them. They're going to pick up a new, fresh set of items with that 5-man team wipe. Fnatic, they can't afford fights like this. That goes without saying. The Tidehunter has to start the fights with the Ravage, or at least look for some kind of counter initiation. They have to keep mid-1 alive a lot longer than that.
And I believe they're completely out. No, they have one more on DJ. So they have one last like desperation smoke they can use. But do they want to use it now? They're going to be fighting into an Aegis, but at the same time, if you wait out the Aegis, you're just giving 5 minutes of farming time to a team that has better late game.
Yeah, the Spectre's getting almost... I guess they still have ways to deal with them. Like, Lifestealer, at some point, yes, he's going to drop off, but he does have the items right now to scale, and OD is always OD.
You're just going to have to get the fast MKB. It looks like, ooh, the Chronosphere is going to be able to control the swap back out. And Tubu's going to be left to potentially die. No, MVP Phoenix actually turn and fight this. With the EMP laid out, DJ's trying to chase away by the Spectre Illusions. Will be able to survive for the time being. QO turns and will be able to take out Net. They're fighting around the Aegis right now. Mid-1 thinks he can actually do this. He's ready to go with the ultimate, drops it now, but he's still going to die. QO, he's not going to be able to get away. Loses that Aegis, but Mushi has no way out of this one. He's been silenced up, not going to be able to infest at all. And the burst damage will pop him. Another wipe for MVP Phoenix.
Yeah, they fight around the fact that they know the Ravage is down. They've got the Aegis on QO. That's all it's going to take for them to take that fight. Fnatic, they're going to lose their mid-racks most likely here. Without a buyback on their OD, there's no chance that they're going to defend this one.
There's no tier 2s left either. MVP Phoenix could actually turn this into multiple lanes of racks.
Yeah, they're going to go for this bottom one as well. They know that Fnatic is not going to be able to defend this.
So bottom lane of Rax is going to go down. They still have 25 seconds till the Lifestealer is back up. So they may actually try and still go top, but it would be a bit risky.
Yeah, I don't think you risk going for top without the Aegis available. You don't want to just blow things right back in favor of Fnatic.
Yeah.
Like, Fnatic now have the Ravage available. You don't have Haunt. You don't have the Aegis. Those are two really crucial things that allow you to win that last fight.
And you've got so many fresh items. BKB is complete for Rev. The Spectre can pick up, say, an Eagle Song if you want to think about Butterfly at this point.
He had, at one point before that fight, like 2,800 gold. He picks up a Diffusal Blade, and he's got 3,500 on top of that.
Yeah.
That's just what double racks does for you.
Bebby actually gets an Ethereal Blade now. So he can save himself against the Lifestealer as well as allies, potentially burst someone down.
MP scouting around, and Fnatic are immediately going to go for a smoke with the Ravage up. They know that they're in a pretty bad spot. They want to be the ones to start the fight. They know that's when they were the most successful.
Rev is isolated. They're going to blow the Ravage, jumps on him and pop him. That's a lock committed. The Spectre throws down the ultimate. It's actually going to try and chase down Net. This is still a fight that Fnatic can win. Spectre Reality's back out, though, and is unable to get the Spectre illusion. Still, though, the Paralyzing Cast is actually stalling up Fnatic's retreat. They get the swap back. Net fights it, and mid-1 is going to be sent back to base. The two supports will die in order to save the life of mid-1.
Yeah. And they had to expend the Ravage just for the Void, hoping that maybe somebody was behind him. They know that Forev has a BKB as well, so they had to take that one quickly.
Unfortunately, they still don't have their OD ultimate either, so they're missing both their team fight ults as MVP Phoenix is going to be able to grasp Mega Creeps at this point. Sounds up. Rev looks for the Chronosphere. He's going to be able to catch two. They immediately start going for mid-1 and should be able to burst him down inside of this Chronosphere. Barely gets off the imprisonment in time. Ohio and Mushi are in the middle of things trying to fight up against Rev, but he's going to be able to time walk all that out. Ohio's going to be dying to the Enchantress. Meanwhile, again, the Paralyzing Cask is just destroying Fnatic in these small engagements. And sure enough, MVP Phoenix, they take game number 1 against Fnatic.
Yeah, their map control around the mid-game, despite not having the best start in the laning phase, like it was pretty even. They just outmaneuvered Fnatic, and Fnatic did have bright spots. There was an opportunity for them to even take the first Rax of the game, which is absurd, but
yeah, it goes to show that Fnatic is a team that, despite maybe sometimes losing out in the laning phase, they can still come back and hit you hard. Even though you think you have the advantage, you gotta play careful around them, and we saw the